Yes, welcome. Welcome to Historic Fairview Cemetery. I'm Gail Rubin, the president of the nonprofit organization in charge of helping to maintain these sacred grounds and sharing the history of Albuquerque and New Mexico and the United States reflected in the lives of the people buried here. I appreciate so much all of you coming out. We have big news to announce. And I would like to start with Karen Street, Chaplain Karen Street, giving us a benediction to get us started with our Veterans Day observations. What? The Pledge of Allegiance. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I am humbled and I am honored to be at the Historic Fairview Cemetery on this Veterans Day. Thank you for coming up. My name is Chaplain Karen Street. I am from the American Legion Post 95. I served in the U.S. Air Force for 6 years. I did navigational technical aids, which means I gave landing systems the ability to give information to the planes, just in case you didn't know. And I also did disbursement accounting when those that came back from their different assignments came into their post. I was there to make sure they got paid. Today's theme is celebrating. We heard Billy Ray Cyrus, and I do not own the rights to that music, indicating that some gave all. So now we go before God and just thank Him for that. Oh God, as we gather together on this sacred ground, we celebrate our veterans, the military men and military women who served for America. Men and women whose lives were changed, whose lives were shaped in profound ways, shaped to serve, shaped to leave the civilian world, shaped to become a soldier, become a sailor, become a Marine, become an airman, become a guardian. Veterans Day is a day of celebration. We celebrate their bravery. We celebrate their oath. We celebrate their determination to defend our freedom. What unites us all is their selfless sacrifice. Some gave some gave all, some gave it all. Some lay down. Job well done. Some stand tall, still willing to run. What completes us is the unspoken pledge, all for one and one for all. We celebrate this pursuit of justice, their concern for respect for all people, concern for peace, concern for fairness. Together they fought for America's social justice. In a nation where everyone deserves equal economic, political, and social opportunities, irrespective of their race, gender, or religion. Celebrate. Can you say celebrate? Celebrate. Celebrate the veteran, for he or she are a rare breed. Veterans ask no glory of themselves. They look danger straight in their eyes. Nothing held back. Nothing withdrawn. Always remembering their loved ones are at home. Loved ones who are depending on them. Loved ones who pray every night for them, carrying the burden of freedom on their shoulders. Celebrate. Say celebrate. Celebrate. Our veterans for their fearlessness. Our veterans feel and felt pride in carrying the American flag to ensure today we would have peace, freedom, and liberty. Celebrate. Celebrate. Celebrate their valor. Celebrate. Celebrate. Celebrate their courage. Celebrate. Celebrate. Celebrate their sacrifice. Celebrate. Celebrate. Celebrate their patriotism. Celebrate. Celebrate. Celebrate their discipline. Celebrate. Celebrate. Celebrate their protection. Celebrate. Celebrate. Celebrate their commitment to us. Celebrate. Celebrate their hope for better days. Oh God, we thank you for creating veterans. May you, our Lord, keep them, their families, and their caregivers. Amen.
Amen. I'd like to invite Adriann Barboa and the county commissioners to please come up.
Thank you all so much for giving me this honor. Of course, we're here today to honor our veterans. And I also want to start by thanking the Historic Fairview Cemetery Association for first seeing the need, taking action, and then doing everything they can to build the resources they need to have this even to where it is today. So I want to start by thanking them. And I also want to recognize the commissioners that are here with me. I'm Adriann Barboa. I am the Bernalillo County Commissioner for District 3, which we stand in right now. And I have with me Commissioner O'Malley and just recently elected Commissioner Barbara Baca and Commissioner Eric Olivas. So I hope I'm the first to get to say that officially. What an honor. What an honor. I am so excited. And I want to start, just obviously we're here to honor veterans. I grew up in this neighborhood. I actually live a few blocks from here. And as teenagers, we'd come through this part of the cemetery walking, and we'd see the old gravestones and be talking about it and broken and the weeds and always we're so intrigued by this area that has such history, but always saw the brokenness and the weeds overgrown. And so I can't tell you, as someone who lives in this neighborhood, how important it is not just to honor our veterans, but to make this clean, beautiful space where our community can come and enjoy and actually pay tribute to all the folks that have been buried here and honor their family members, and specifically honoring our veterans. I think as we, I always really feel, and I felt like I was taught by my family, specifically my stepfather who was an Army veteran, that we have to look back in order to make important decisions for our future. We have to take the lessons of our past. And when we stand here today, thank you all our veterans that are here. I think one of the most important things to remember is that what they fought for me, means that someone like myself, a little Chicana from here in Southeast Albuquerque, could run for office, could gain, and could be fighting for our democracy, right? We just had an election. We these folks that sacrificed their hearts, their lives, their families, did it so that we can have a fair and just democracy. And that's what we are fighting for every day. I am thankful for their sacrifice that gets us to a place where voting matters, where all our decisions, all of our time put in, all of our voices can be heard because of the freedoms, because of the sacrifices of these veterans. And so I am proud and will carry that with me every single day, and I'll honor them as I pass through here every single day, and know that that is why we fight for democracy, because people have been risking their lives for it for so long. And so I won't say much more other than thank you for giving me this honor. I promise to carry the honor of our veterans into the decisions and the work that we do at the commission. And I did want to give Commissioner O'Malley a little bit of time to be able to speak to you today, too.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Barboa. It's also my honor to be here. I actually wasn't planning to speak, but I had actually knew about this. Well, I was one of the commission members that voted to appropriate the $300,000 for the rehabilitation of the gravestones here. And so it's a wonderful opportunity again for us to celebrate, right, and also thank our veterans. My father was a Marine, and he served in the Battle of Iwo Jima, and he also served as in the occupation of Japan. And so today also I want to honor him. He came back a very compassionate man, very believed in fairness, and I'm very, very fortunate to have such loving parents. So I miss him every day, but I'm grateful for his sacrifice as well. He always felt really bad about those who didn't make it, his friends, and so I think he felt a lot of guilt actually about that. But anyway, I think that he showed, he's a respectful person, and he showed that he was grateful to be alive and that he made it through. I'm also here. My great-great-grandfather is buried way back over there. His gravestone was broken. His name was Melchior Werner. He was an immigrant from Germany, and he served under General Sumner in the Union Army. And he was a very well-known person here at that time. Was very involved in building the city of Albuquerque, and so I'm just really happy that also his gravestone will be one of the gravestones that can be fixed. So thank you all very much. So many of us have families I know some of you have served here as well, and I want to thank you for your service as well, but most of us have family. My brother was retired Army that are in the service or that have served. So thank you all very much, and again, it's my honor to be here today.
So I'm very thankful. Like I said, folks that they were already building this, right? People's passion put into already cleaning up. We had already seen the improvements. And thankfully, they came to the county with their passion and asked, and I'm very proud that the county was able, we got unanimous votes to be able to get the $300,000 that'll hopefully support the preservation of this area, the much needed preservation to be able to honor this area. And it's an honor to even be able to vote for something like this. Again, thank you to Historic Fairview Cemetery Board that is making these improvements happening, even bringing them to our attention. And what an honor to be able to make this happen. And like I said, it's an honor for our veterans, but really I think it's an improvement for our whole community. So I'm actually honored and just thankful to even have the opportunity to do so.
Good morning, everybody. Again, like Gail said, my name is Edward Mendez with the New Mexico Department of Veteran Services. Before I say anything, I just want to recognize the veterans that we do have here today. Please, by a show of hands, let me see. Thank you all. So, just a little bit of background on the Department of Veteran Services and when we were notified. Gail had brought this to the attention of John Garcia, who John was a cabinet secretary for the Department of Veteran Services, a previous cabinet secretary of ours. He reached out to me back in, I want to say March, April of this year, to have me come and take a look at these veteran headstones. I brought some of my staff. We took a look at the headstones, and we were, I'm going to say, surprised. And that's putting it lightly. When we saw, and just so you know, we run the Department of Veteran Services for the state of New Mexico. We run right now 4 state veteran cemeteries, similar in nature to the National Cemetery in Santa Fe and Fort Baird. But these are state-run veteran cemeteries that run exactly the same way. So when we got up here and we saw the condition of these headstones and grave markers, we were, again, just a little put back. At that time, we reached out to the county, and the person that I reached out to initially, and John Garcia reached out to, is Deputy County Commissioner Lisa Cedillo White. Lisa? So if it wasn't for Lisa and rallying the troops at the county, I don't think we would even be here today. So Lisa, thank you very much for all your hard work, ma'am. So what Lisa has done and what we had asked with the Historic Cemetery Board was to see if we can appropriate funds for the preservation and restoration of these headstones. And what's happened, like the county commissioners have said, we have acquired $300,000. And again, let's please give the county a big hand for appropriating those funds. Thank you very much. Now, those funds that the department, and I will tell you, the Department of Veteran Services, the county, and the Historic Preservation Board here at Fairview have written into an MOA, a Memorandum of Agreement, for the work that we're going to be doing here. And what we're going to be doing is just that. AL1, AL2, or American Legion 1, American Legion 2, we are going to preserve and restore these headstones. We're also going to do some work on some other headstones and the monument here as well. The idea is we want to bring all of these headstones up to what's called VA shrine standards. And if you've ever been to a national cemetery, you know what I'm talking about. Those headstones are aligned, perfectly. That's exactly what we're going to do here. So I can't give you an exact timeline because I don't have a contractor just yet. We've just got the funding from the county, which I'm very, very happy and very appreciative for. So thank you very much again for that. Once we establish the budget for it, then we're going to go out to a contractor and get rolling on this. So I can't tell you that we're going to have this done by Memorial Day. I can't tell you we're going to have it done by the 4th of July or by Veterans Day. But what I can tell you is we are going to get this done. There's no way we're going to let these headstones lie the way they lie. So I apologize for that. I am a retired Navy veteran, retired Chief Petty Officer. So I have 2 roles in the National Cemetery in Santa Fe. So believe me when I say the work that I do is heartfelt. So again, with that, I want to thank the board here at Fairview, definitely the county, and all you guys who are here. Get here as a group will be to showcase all the work that we've done with these headstones. So again, happy Veterans Day, and thank you very much.
Good morning. My name
go.
is Helen Beatty, and I am the Regent of the Wallace Chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And today my chapter and I are honored to take part in this Veterans Day remembrance. I'm a proud granddaughter. My grandfather served in the Navy in the Pacific during World War II. I'm a proud sister. My brother served in Korea. I'm a proud grandmother. My grandson is, as we speak, a medic in the Army. And I've been told that I should never say I was a Marine, but that I am a Marine. So, thank Thank you. The mission of the Daughters of the American Revolution is to promote historical preservation, education, and patriotism. We do this through volunteer service in each of these areas. Today, we honor and promote patriotism. We promote patriotism in many ways. We honor our living veterans by supporting programs for veterans, by donating necessary items, and by service and volunteerism at the Albuquerque VA Hospital. A couple of things we do to honor the veterans who have passed. We support Wreaths Across America, which puts wreaths at the National Cemetery in Santa Fe, at each of the veterans' headstones during the holiday season, and it's quite an operation. We also, and this year it'll be placed on December 17th. We also, the Lew Wallace chapter supports the work done at the Historic Fairview Cemetery, and we are partners with Gail and all the other volunteers that come out first Saturday of each month and work really hard to make this an honorable and wonderful place for the soldiers and veterans who are buried here. This is a magnificent historical treasure, and so I'm so thank you for everything you're doing. I also would like to mention that the daughters have, well, my Regent's project, which each Regent has a project, and my project is here at the Fairview Cemetery, and so this is my special interest. I'm also the chair of the National Defense Committee in my chapter, and so today, as people are leaving or as you're going around doing the in-service, myself and a couple of our members will be almost at the exit in front of a couple of the Buffalo soldiers, and we'll have some flyers and handouts, and we'll be able to talk to you if you want to sit and chat about the Buffalo soldiers. So I just want to thank Gail, and today, with a grateful heart, the Lew Wallace chapter thanks all our veterans, deceased and living, for their part in preserving our democracy for our future generations. Thank you, Gail.
I have an addition to our brief program. I would like to invite Steve Ross to come forward. One of the most notable burials here in the cemetery is Governor Edmund G. Ross, and Steve is his great-great-grandson.
Yes.
And please share a few words. Sure.
Thank you, Gail, and I will be brief. We're out here, and I see the wind kicking in a little bit, so I'm going to be very aware of that. And before I share a few remarks, I just want to let you know, anybody that wants to stick around, I'll be happy to meet you over there at the family plot. There's no more room in the inn, but it is full, and happy to share any stories that I have about Edmund G. Ross, and I have some paraphernalia here that I brought along as well. Having said that, first and foremost, I personally want to thank all the veterans that are here for serving our country. Really appreciate you, as we've already heard from everybody that's here. Also want to thank the county and the commissioners, and Commissioner O'Malley I've called on in the past many times, and I just want to personally thank you for your work on homelessness. That was the role I was playing until I retired in December, was working in that arena. I also want to thank the board very much for all the hard work they've been doing in this cemetery. It's really amazing some of the changes that have come about. Periodically, my buddy and I that I grew up with here in town would come out here and try to clean up the Ross family plot as best we can, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Dar. Many years ago, I was out here for a ceremony, and Dar had done some work on Governor Ross's plot and placed some flags, and that was really a wonderful ceremony some time back for that. So I want to thank Dar for those efforts. So real quickly, I just wanted to mention, of course, Edmund G. Ross served as first off in Kansas with the Kansas Volunteers in the Union Army. So when President Lincoln called for the mustering of 300,000 troops, obviously that's when a lot of places began to put their militias together. So he was assigned a company. He recruited 67 volunteers and was assigned as a captain of that particular group during the Civil War. Edmund G. Ross was a staunch abolitionist. He was so against slavery, he actually helped personally a couple of slaves flee to Canada. So that was really his passion as he came in and then became a captain in that particular portion of the Civil War with the Union Army in Kansas, and was actually involved in quite a few skirmishes. In fact, he had 2 horses shot out from underneath him in some battles, and the Battle of Prairie Oak was one of the key battles he was involved in. He didn't lose hardly any men in terms of being killed in the war. A lot of the men that he was captaining, some of them either just had to leave because of starving, and some just deserted. So that kind of happened, and a lot of times that was what we saw with some of the stuff that went on. Before the war was over, he attained the rank of major, so along with Commissioner O'Malley's also great-great-grandfather in terms of being a major in the Union Army, and came out here. And I would gather that those two probably knew each other here. So my great-great-grandfather was appointed territorial governor in 1881 and served, and really the things that he accomplished was establishing the enabling acts that created our institutions of higher education, specifically the University of New Mexico and also New Mexico State. It wasn't called New Mexico State at that point, as well as New Mexico Tech. So he was a staunch believer in education. So I'll kind of leave it there, and then the last thing I would just like to acknowledge is that my father, the Reverend Edmund P. Ross, also served in World War II, and he always liked to comment that he served in 2 branches of the services during World War II. He was actually at the Naval Academy when the war broke out, and he and my mother decided to elope and try to keep it secret. Well, that didn't last very long, so he was having to resign his commission at the Naval Academy, and didn't even get home, was immediately billeted and sent to an Army boot camp, and then shipped out to Japan. So, but he always liked watching the Army-Navy game because he said, I can't lose. So, with that, I'll turn it back to Gail. Thank you, and again, I'm here if anybody wants to chat.
The tradition of Veterans Day is the 11th month, the 11th day, the 11th hour. The Great War that we now call World War I drew to a close, was officially ended. And that is why we do our observances on November 11th. It's shortly after 11 a.m., so let us take a moment of silence, and then we'll listen to taps in honor of our veterans, living and dead. At this point, I would like to invite you to look at your programs. We have a self-guided tour of some of our notable veterans who are buried here at Historic Fairview Cemetery. There's a QR code, so if you are tech savvy with your smartphone, you can pull up a blog post that has all of the information written about these veteran burials. If you don't have a smartphone, I do have paper versions of that blog post printed out. You can pick one up over here.
Commissioner Balboa, can you come up 1 second, please, ma'am? Ma'am, on behalf of the Department of Veteran Services, this is our agency coin. On one side it has our agency logo, and on the other side it has our service motto, serving those who have served in all 5 branches of the military. So thank you very much for everything that you've done for us and for the cemetery. So thank you very much.
And with that, thank you so much for coming out for our observances today. I hope you'll take the tour and learn about these remarkable veterans and visit with Steve over at the Ross family plot.